All right, let's jump right in. Imagine for a second a world where every single financial network, I'm talking everything from Bitcoin to your local bank, could finally speak the same language. That's the huge ambition behind the tech we're digging into today, a project that wants to be the operating system for the future of money.
So let's really unpack that core question. What if the blockchain that runs Bitcoin could just seamlessly interact with the one that runs Ethereum? And what if both of them could talk to the traditional banking systems we all use every single day? Because, right now, they can't. Not even close. And that is a massive barrier to progress. So, that brings us to this huge problem in the digital world. I like to call it the great digital disconnect. We've got all these incredibly powerful but totally isolated systems. Each one is built with its own unique set of rules, its own digital language.
And here's the best way to picture it. Think of each blockchain network as its own separate island. You've got Bitcoin Island over here, speaking one language. Then you've got Ethereum Island over there, speaking a completely different one. And guess what? They can't easily trade or talk to each other. This fragmentation, this island problem, is pretty much the single biggest thing holding back the true power of this tech. Okay, so how in the world do you bridge these islands, right? You'd need some kind of universal translator for all these financial networks. And that is exactly where Quant's core technology, Overledger, steps onto the scene. Now, this part is absolutely crucial. We have to understand what Overledger is, and maybe more importantly, what it isn't. It is not another blockchain just adding to the mess. The best way to think about it is like the operating system on your computer, Windows or Mac OS. You don't need a whole new computer just to run different programs, right? Your OS handles all the communication between them. Well, Overledger does the exact same thing, but for blockchains. It just sits on top of everything, letting them all talk to each other.
Okay, and this visual here really shows how it works in the real world. So over on the left, you've got a customer at, say, Bank B, and on the right, a merchant using Bank A. Overledger is that central hub you see in the middle. It's the gateway that lets them transact with each other totally securely, even though they're on completely different systems. It's basically the essential plumbing that makes it all possible.
And look, this isn't just some theoretical what-if kind of concept. This tech has a massive, real-world use case that is unfolding right now as we speak. I'm talking about the rise of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. You're going to be hearing a lot more about these. They're basically digital versions of national currencies, like a digital dollar or a digital euro. And believe me, this is not some niche idea. Get this. According to the Bank for International Settlements, a staggering 85% of the world's central banks are already looking into or actively building a CBDC. That's huge. The global race to digitize money is absolutely on.
But, just launching a digital dollar or a digital euro, it's incredibly complicated. Governments are facing some massive challenges. How do you guarantee privacy and security? How do you make sure this new system works with all the old banking stuff that's already out there? And this is where a technology like Overledger becomes so important. It offers a potential fix for a lot of these headaches, especially that big one, making new systems talk to old ones.
Okay, but Quant isn't the only player in this game. They're not alone in this whole connectivity space. So to really get a handle on what makes them unique, I think it's super helpful to compare them to another giant in the crypto world, Chainlink.
And this really breaks down the key difference perfectly. So, Chainlink is what we call an oracle. Its main job is to bring real-world data, like, say, the price of a stock or the weather, onto a blockchain so smart contracts can use it. Think of it as a secure data messenger. Quant, on the other hand, is working at a much deeper level. It doesn't just move data, it connects the entire networks themselves. It's the bridge between whole blockchains, or between a blockchain and a traditional bank.
And you can see this totally different approach reflected in their tokens. Chainlink's token Link has a max supply of 1 billion. It's designed for a ton of small data transactions. Now look at Quant's QNT. It has an incredibly low supply, less than 15 million tokens in total. Its purpose isn't to pay for little bits of data. It's for huge enterprises and banks to pay their annual license fees to use the Overledger network. You can see how that creates a completely different kind of supply and demand situation.
So when you have this kind of powerful technology in this really unique position in the market, it's probably no surprise that people are starting to pay attention to Quant's token, QNT. So let's dig into what's been driving all the recent interest.
And we're seeing this all play out in real time. I saw this great quote from an analyst on TradingView who said that the shorts, the people betting the price will go down, they look like they're arriving after the move.
Basically, what that means is that there seems to be such strong underlying demand that it's just soaking up all the selling.
Yeah, this recent buzz isn't just happening out of nowhere. There are a few key things going on. For starters, it got listed on Robinhood, which just opened the floodgates to a ton of new investors. On top of that, if you look at the on-chain data, that's the data straight from the blockchain, you can see signs of accumulation. People are moving their tokens off of exchanges, which is a classic signal that they're planning to hold on for the long haul. So you combine that with rising trading volume and a price chart that looks like it's ready to break out, and, well, you've got a perfect storm of factors fueling this momentum.
So this all brings us to one final and kind of massive question to think about. As our entire global financial system shifts away from physical cash and disconnected ledgers and moves toward digital currencies and networks that are all linked together, money itself is basically becoming software. So the really critical question for the next decade is pretty simple. Who's going to write the operating system that runs it all?